afternoon. Mr. Brown,
Here.
Ms. Herbert. Here. Dr. Bustles,
Here.
Mr. Brennan. Mr. McDowell. Mr. Duval,
Present.
Mayor Rickman.
Here.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, could you give us a little invocation, please?
I'd love to. Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this gathering of public servants. Help us to always be mindful of what our obligations are to the people of Columbia. Please bless everyone in this holiday season. Keep us also mindful of your gift to us, your son. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Moving forward with our city council discussion, and we're going to softly start rolling back into some work sessions. This will be the first before the holiday, and of course, in January, I don't know that we have one scheduled. There's a lot going on with swearing in and a little bit of movement with the dates in January. But I'll say this real quickly, Mayor and I discussed my desire for us to start as early as first or second week in February with like a mini retreat where, not like the retreat where you go into your strategic outcomes, because those are still in place and we're working well with those. We'll get in a cadence, we'll have that type of retreat again later on. But this would be more to kick off the budget season and to talk more about the operations, kind of do a temperature check on the things that we have accomplished, things that are pending, and also to give some perspective on the overall economy and market from some outside folks that some of you are probably familiar with, like Mike Shealy, who worked for the state legislature for a long time. So we're in the works, Missy Kaufman and Jeff and I are working through an agenda, and we'll float that with y'all and make sure some dates work for a day and a half is what we're thinking of, which would be a longer version of a work
Longer the
session.
better.
Got it. So with that said, some of these items we're trying to work in before January are things that will also continue to be discussed leading into the budget. The first being parking services, and a long-awaited update. Missy Gentry will our Assistant City Manager for Development Services will introduce our staff, wonderful staff, to give a parking operations overview.
So good afternoon. We're glad to be here. I know it's been a long time coming, and I will do a very brief introduction of our staff, and then they'll come up here and give you the presentation about our parking system operations. Parking is an enterprise of the city. It's made up of 45 employees, 11 decks, 14 surface lots, over 3,600 parking meters. They also manage residential parking, all of the event parking, bag meters, valet permits, and the current revenues are around $9.6 million. I want to introduce the team who manage the parking system. Elle Matney is our parking director for parking services, and Tori is our deputy director, Tori Salvant. So they work together on the operational side. And under Henry Simons, we have support services who help with the maintenance of the facilities, and Kelvin Kiesler heads that up. So you're going to hear from those three folks shortly. So Elle, you want to jump up and take over?
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. We appreciate the time today to provide you with an overview of the parking system. It's been a good moment, so we're quite excited. The first thing I'll jump through real quick. There we go. The agenda, what we're going to review this afternoon is an overview of the parking system itself, our economic development partnerships, project highlights, activities that are taking place in parking as we speak, and our capital improvement plan. To start things off, to let everyone know, Parking Services Division is broken down by two departments. We have operations, which would include enforcement, the meter shop, the front office, customer service, events, our parking business liaison, and we have a total of 34 staff members on the operational side. Parking facilities, under the direction of Kelvin, includes facility maintenance, cleaning, and they have a total of 11 staff members. This gives you a broad overview of the entire system itself. For example, as Missy mentioned, we have 11 parking decks. We currently have 14 surface slots, over 3,600 on-street meter spaces, over 1,400 passport-only spaces. We have 47 in and out blocks throughout the city. We have 6 residentially permitted areas. Our average number of monthly parkers is just over 3,400. And the system as a whole has over 11,000 parking spaces in the system. We accommodate 9, yes, sir.
What's an in and out monthly block?
So those are 47 blocks throughout the city that you can purchase monthly for $35. And they're designated, maybe not utilized for turnover, but in a business district maybe that doesn't have a parking facility. So we have those designated, and we only sell at 50% of the block occupancy so that there is public parking available.
How many parking spots in the decks total?
I can have that for you shortly.
Or between decks and surface lots, how many parking spots is that total?
So we have over 11,000.
11,000.
But that includes the street then?
Yeah,
You
no, I
want
just
decks
want
and
to surface
surface
lot.
I can have that for you momentarily.
Great.
So the number of hotels that we accommodate in the city would be 9. We service over 500 staff members with the city. The average number of events that we support monthly, though that fluctuates dependent on the time of the year, is 29. The average number of monthly citations that we issue is over 8,700 citations monthly. Bagged meters, very popular here in Columbia. We bag over 500 monthly.
10%.
And the number of passport transactions monthly is now just over 70,000 each month. What I'll do now is I'll turn it over to Tori, and she's going to break down some of the new innovative things that we have going on with regards to operations.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me draw your attention, went back, let's see, to our passport parking. Passport parking is something that we utilize throughout the city of Columbia. But what we have not had a lot of participation in is our merchants buying validations. We have validations, merchants can buy validations for their patrons, just for, patronizing their facility. It's just a simple thing of signing up at passportinc.com and selecting what type of amount of money they would like to put on the account. From there, they can designate whether or not they want to give $1 or $2 off for parking for their patrons.
And so are no merchants or very few, or you're disappointed in the numbers? Give me a better idea.
We put the information out there, but we haven't really had a lot of bite behind it.
Okay.
But they wouldn't have like a predetermined spot, so it would just be somewhere.
No, it would be, just say for instance, if it's a business on Main Street and they decide they want to use validation parking. Somebody that comes in and patronizes them, it doesn't set the parking space, but what it does is it would allow them to say, well, I'm gonna give you $1 off for that parking. And they could just put it in with their passport code.
Got it.
I just think that if customers are gonna pay for as long as customers are gonna pay for the parking, we may not find.
Well, I would think that if I was like Granger Owens, so if I was Granger Owens, I don't think I'd want to pay for somebody's parking 4 blocks away, but I might be interested in paying for somebody's, paying for a designated spot or something like that. I might do that, but I don't know that I would sign up for that either. So, because I don't know that it would increase my traffic. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
It's the
But
people.
it's an interesting idea. I like the concept. I just don't know that I like the application of the concept, if that makes sense.
Well, it's because it's, unless you advertise it ahead of time, people don't know.
Right.
You know, logistically, because it used to be folks would give out tokens back in the day. And then
Well,
people
that would,
bought-
right, I would do that if
then
I had like
people
a
bought little
jar.
cards and, you know, here's $1 off, or, you know, I'll pay for your parking on the backside. But there's gotta be a way to make it work where it becomes enticing for the thing. Maybe we ought to work with the vendor and see what they've done in other cities to promote and try.
It can be zone specific. So if you were Granger Owens and you wanted to offer your validation for the block in front,
Yeah.
guaranteeing a space,
Well,
you could. I don't want to cut Tori off. She does a great job.
Y'all just stand right there.
If you can make it zone specific with regards to passport. So if you wanted the block, the zone in front of Granger Owens, yes, you can do that, but it doesn't guarantee them a space would be available. But you could make it applicable to the zone in front of your place of business.
I mean, I'll think about it. I kind of like, you know, the answer is if it was really easy to maneuver, like the concept, if I was Granger Owens and we could go back 20 years and I had, you know, a jar, you know, parking token jar, you know, I would do that. In other words, where somebody could come in, they take a token, then they leave or whatever. But, you know, I don't want to waste time in today's world. Nobody likes working for free, so you don't want to waste your time dealing with something for $1. Does that make sense? So if we can make it, like I said, I like the concepts. I'm just not sure how to apply it in 2023 where it seems like makes sense. So,
But, and also, I just don't know what the incentive is for them to do it.
it's just kind of like.
Customer service.
Yeah, it's people get aggravated with parking. Okay, we know that. Okay, and Columbia's a weird town because you know, and I find myself doing this. I used to do it a lot when our business was in West Columbia. You know, where I go to Zestos for lunch and I would go 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 lap, and I'm gone. Okay, and 2 laps, sorry, 2 laps. Tina's a 2 lap person, I'm a 3 lap person. But same thing, you know, if I'm going, you know, if I was gonna go to Granger Owens after this meeting and I was driving down there,
Yeah.
I would probably take 2 laps and then if I might go to Assembly Street, but I might not, and then I'm gone. So
If
I'm
they're
just,
parking their parking lot in the back.
I didn't know about that. See, see, oh, Daniel, now I'm gonna complain next time there. It's like, Daniel's got a parking spot in the back. So anyway, I'm glad to know about it, but I just wanna think about
I
it.
walk on Main, so.
I got a parking spot now.
Now we have text to park. Currently, you can text 30843 and put in park, and it will send you a code. You just click on it, and it'll ask you for your phone number. Once you put your phone number in, then you can do the workflow and do your text to park with Passport.
And what's the number again?
30843.
Does that mean I don't have to use the app? See, that's, I can
Yeah, now we,
get my mind around that.
now we can deal with that.
now how would our customers know that?
It's on the meters and on the signage. Okay. Now we have our passport numbers. We have been utilizing Passport since 2015, which is about 99 months. In that time frame, we have had 6.8 million total transactions, 382,000 total activity users, and $9.4 million worth of revenue.
What's the average transaction, do you know?
70,000 transactions.
No, I mean like dollar amount. Was it $2?
85 cents, my
85.
guess.
I can get that information for you.
I'm just curious.
I think it's about 190, 195. Yes, I will.
So the meters, I noticed like when I was at Gourmet Shop this weekend, you can only go up to 2 hours, right? Is that everywhere? That's just 5 points, or y'all gonna talk about that?
Well, we have some meters that only allow you to go with certain times. We have 5-hour meters, 2-hour meters, some areas are 30 meters, so it varies because we won't turnover in those areas.
And how do you distinguish those when you're on the street?
Far as the meters, it's the colors.
Because I was just, I guess, making that comparison with what the mayor is saying about what's your average time. So I wonder if people know I'm gonna look for a 2-hour meter because I'm planning to shop for 2 hours or thereabouts.
And this net number's based on 2015 through 2023? Okay. If you just read it and you don't know, I mean, that's about what our whole parking system does annually, so, I just wanna make sure I was reading that correctly.
Now I'll bring you to Park Hub. Park Hub is a cashless event modular that we have been using since approximately about December 10th of last year. As you can see, it's very seamless. When a parker pulls up for an event, if it's a $10 gate, they can tap or they can swipe. If they decide they want a receipt, we can pull up a QR code, they scan the QR code, and then they have their receipt. It's very seamless, it's fast, and it cuts down on a lot of time. As far as reconciliation on the back end, it's real time, so we don't have any problems with seeing the revenue that we picked up for the day's event.
So I have a question about this. It seems to, when I was seeing some of the messaging around Park Hub as well, it seems like it could be confusing that there's 2 different platforms. Did you all explore the possibility of one app being able to do all of this? Do we have to have 2? Do we have to have Park Hub and the parking passport app?
Oh, well, with looking with what we do in the city, we went with something that was more reasonable and seamless. We want to make sure that the parker exchange with with the staff is seamless and doesn't take a lot of steps. Because what we find is that when we have people coming into events, it starts to get a backup. So if you can just pull out a card and tap or slide on through, it makes the event.
So this is only point of sale.
Right.
So this isn't an app that somebody who's parking would also have a Park Hub app?
No.
Okay,
Just for the city.
just for
employees.
it, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. As you can see, we have had approximately over 120 events. On-site revenue is $447,000 with over 34,000 cars parked. These are 3 of the top events that we have had so far this year with the Jonas Brothers in October the 10th of 2023, which on-site revenue was $15,500 with over 700 cars parked. WWE SmackDown of May of 2023 with approximately $13,900 on-site revenue with over 600 cars parked. And then Monster Jam, April of 2023 with $13,820 of on-site revenue with over 600 cars parked.
That says something about our citizens.
Monster Jam is really good.
No, that shows you that we're not getting all the events that we should get, is what it really shows you.
Giving people what they want.
Now we move on to the Barnacle. The Barnacle is a mobilization device that we're using in conjunction with towing. We started using the Barnacle approximately September the 15th of 2023. Since then, we've had over 68 deployments with a revenue of over $18,000. We're currently using 6 devices.
Did you get all 6 back?
We've had some interesting things that happen.
There's one in the back of my wife's car right now.
We know that.
We can train.
Just check there first.
We only using these devices currently in designated areas such as Santee and Saluda Avenue, all of our parking decks, our Main Street district, Latest Street, the 500 through the 700 block, and 1000 Hampton Street. Coming soon. we have our T2 citation collection services that are coming soon. This is for our parkers that get their citations and decide they don't want to pay it. On the 61st day, those citations will transfer over to the collection services. From there, the collection services will send out a letter letting them know that their citations have been transferred over to them and work with them when trying to get the revenue due to the city of Columbia for those citations.
You said on the 63rd day?
61st.
61st.
How does that differ from set-off debt collection that you can use and make even more money off of?
Well, with this, we already utilize T2 for our enforcement and for them to pay online with their citation. And it just made good practice to go with this in order to keep it in line and make it seamless for the parker as well.
How do they pay?
They pay online.
Cash preferably.
Can't pay cash at all.
Can't pay-
What kind of computer you got?
An old one. Got a floppy disk.
Also coming soon is
Make
our
them all
citation
area.
appeals. Currently, for citation appeals, we do it the old-fashioned way as email. The parker will send if they believe that they got a citation incorrectly or whatever the case may be, they would email our parking services email box and let us know the reason why they feel like the citation was given incorrectly.
How many emails you get?
Sometimes 200 to 300 a day.
Wow.
You said a day, per day?
It depends. How many citations that our enforcement officers write depends on how many citation appeal processes we get, whether they know they deserve the ticket or not.
It's $8.
With this right here,
Ticket. You're in a handicap zone, it's $200. If you're in the yellow stripe, it's $50. I
What
mean,
area?
it's not just $8 anymore.
with this process, the system will deem that you cannot appeal a citation after 7 days. Currently, that is what we already have. That information is listed on the back of the citation. However, we still get those citations that can be 30 days old that they're trying to appeal. But with this system, once you go in, you must have your tag number and your citation number. You put your information in. The system would ding it if it's over 7 days old. It would give you an automatic response stating that you are unable to appeal the citation.
Can I ask a question? How could you deem someone's appeal as legit?
Given the information that they provided, and we look into the officer that wrote the citation, looking at every aspect. So if they say you got a citation stating that you was parked overtime or something of that nature.
Yeah, right.
And you state that, no, I wasn't, I paid through passport parking or whatever the case may be. 9 times out of 10, what happened is if you're a person that utilizes passport parking, you have multiple vehicles. So instead of selecting the correct vehicle, you selected your wife's vehicle. So when the monitor goes and run your
Because you had a
tag,
barnacle in the backseat.
so when the monitor goes and run your tag to see whether or not you have passport rights and notice that you don't, that's when they give you the citation. What we do is we work with people. Once they come in, we tell them, if you're going to appeal it, send us a copy of your session to let us know that you did pay with passport parking. And then we walk them through with changing to make sure they know which vehicle to change and how that works. And then we'll go ahead and void that citation as a one-time.
Mine was always the meter never worked.
It does sometimes.
They don't work half the time.
You hit it with a hammer 2 or 3 times, it doesn't work.
I use the card.
Well, even if the meter doesn't work, you can notify us and we'll have one of our meter shop techs come out and look at it. But also, those meters do have passport parking information on it as well.
Yeah, we
just
should
write
use
in
the
there.
app.
It's
I'll let
the
them know.
most
Put it on
expensive
there.
way to park.
You could hit the meter with the barnacle.
That's right.
It's lightweight.
Y'all are-
But now turn the presentation back over to El Matney.
Hallelujah. The beginning of a new day.
Very exciting.
Actually, I just used one of these in Asheville, North Carolina.
Did you figure it out?
Yep.
It's very
It's pretty straightforward, it's
It
very
texts you too,
straightforward.
tells you your meter's about to expire.
Yeah, they give you a
Text
little
me.
printout, put in your car, it's
It was also
great.
expensive, but it did text me and,
Park in Nashville lately,
I did.
$40 an hour
It was expensive.
downtown. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
For the record, I was in Asheville in recent weeks and I left with a beautiful envelope on my vehicle. So
Did you appeal it within 7 days?
Did you have a base?
Do you have a barnacle from Asheville?
it was poor signage was the reason for my appeal. And I
That's
was
what-
denied.
That's reason 39A.
I've heard that one, I've heard that one before.
Kind of like on Senate Street,
No comment, sir. So we are going to talk about something really exciting that city leadership has been inquiring about for quite some time, and we hope to see this project through in 2024. So let's dig in. We are using Main Street, the 7 blocks of the Main Street corridor as example. For example, to include 238 parking spaces just along those 7 blocks, that corridor along the main street itself, not including adjacent blocks. We have 104 parking meters, which include 19 30-minute, and we have 15 loading zone spaces along Main Street. And this gives you the breakdown by block. If you want to take a look, whether you're on the 1200 block that has 27 spaces, or you go down to the 1700 block of Main and there's 38 parking spaces. And then also the number of meters that we have on each block. So that's where we are today.
The number of meters adds up more than 104, doesn't it?
Parking spaces and meters, some are double head.
What's the asterisk mean on 1600 block?
The 1600 block, the number of spaces with meters, the 1600 block is 2-hour free parking. There are no meters on the 1600 block.
Not,
It's a pilot program 5 years ago.
yeah.
15 years ago.
2-hour parking free.
Yeah.
Scott,
This next slide is for reference only. We wanted to give everyone a look at what a dynamic pricing tier looks like. And this is just a proposal along Main Street. So let's say we have Main Street where the blue line is. And again, this is when we implement the pay by blocks. Keep in mind, the loops that we are currently looking at, we already have 9 in the city. So they work very well for us. They're very efficient. They reconcile easily. They have great customer comments. So we're moving forward with the T2 loops. When we do implement the loops, we'll have the option in the future to offer dynamic pricing, as some of us have had conversation. The blue line could be $2 an hour, except for during a lunch period, it may be $4 an hour. And we determine what those prices are. This is as example. While if you park on one of the pink blocks, which could be Sumter or Assembly, maybe that's only $1 an hour. And if you go out to the orange, it would be free parking. So again, those that are willing to,
Free.
Yeah, free. Free.
I did say that.
No AARP card needed.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm 100% for this, and if you use my Sumter Street example, it's 2 blocks off of Main Street. If you drive down Sumter Street today, you won't see 1 car parked. Because people do what I do, which is drive around 3 times and then leave. But if it was $4 on Main Street and $1
That's
on.
not true.
That's not true.
People like walkability.
They do.
talk about it all the
I know
time.
they talk about it all the time, they just don't do it. So anyway, if you look at the bell curve of parking and spaces available, I promise you, it's a very, very, very distinct bell curve.
I just think the convenience factor and the beautification. I mean, there's nothing worse than riding down Taylor Street and you just see a line of meters. That's all you see. And having that dynamic parking on those blocks single, I think is just gonna make our city look much better. I mean, and the convenience factor of having multiple thing and that meter, I love it because it'll text you you know, and let you know your meter's about to run out, so you don't end up with a stack of tickets.
Right, so the last thing we want to be out of the ticket business too. So,
Passport, we seek compliance
Yeah,
is
right.
really what we attempt to do on a daily basis, but Passport also will send you that message.
Make it up on the garages.
yeah, exactly, 100%.
So again, we have a lot over in Five Points, for example, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings, after 4 PM, it's a $7 flat fee. So whether you park in that particular lot for 30 minutes or for the entire evening, it's a flat fee of $7.
Why not 10? That's what every other lot in hospitality districts do.
We might be
Tori,
parking, but
let's
it might
note that.
not change it.
We're aware we have those opportunities, and maybe we do that along Main Street.
So
So
it
we
was
do-
interesting to talk with a certain landowner who believed parking needed to be cheaper until he was able to get $125 a month per space.
I'm
That's a
aware.
lot. So,
And there are other cities also that I recently visited that don't offer the pay by block. They're Passport only or a mobile app only. So they have the signage that you don't even have the machines on every block. And these are pretty large cities that they're mobile only. So whether you're a Passport or another mobile app, that would be an option moving forward. So all of this wonderful technology comes at a cost. So let's take a look. We have a couple of options that are estimated investment to the parking system. The T2 Loop pay stations on the top is what we currently have in the city. We have 9 of those, and it gives you what the estimated rate is. They do come some solar and powered. The Luke pay stations accept cash, no coins, and no changes provided, credit cards and passport. Some of you recognize the smart card and utilize the smart card. Moving forward with the Luke pay stations, these will no longer be accepted in the Luke pay stations. There's not an interface, and there's not in the near future. So the smart cards would go away for the Luke pay
so
stations.
no change given is a polite way saying we just rounded up for you.
Yeah, we're not, 20 cents.
Rounded
I'm
up.
gonna be standing there going, where's my change?
There's clear signage on the pay stations that they do not give change.
Good signage.
I should take that back. 2 pay stations that we have over in PJ Cannon do accept coins. But when we move forward along Main Street, we'll no longer accept coins. It'll all be, if we go with the Luke pay stations. And you can still do the T2 extend by phone, do the coupon validations. If we move over, the Cosmos are an option, which are popular in a couple of nearby cities. A little cheaper, but they do not accept cash and coin. So you're going to be paying with a credit card, Passport, or a tap to pay. So it's
I mean, I gotta be honest, it doesn't bother me about accepting cash and change almost everything. I mean, you go to places today, so many places don't take anything but cards.
Correct. I would agree. I mean, I think at this point in life that,
I mean, you look at it.
credit card
I mean,
works pretty well. And my gut tells me that there's more options for the machine to be broken later on with cash and coin
For the
shoved
money
in
we
there.
save on this, you can get eight more
Yeah,
stations.
I would go, I like the Cosmo approach, to be honest.
Oh, are we choosing between the
Right.
2, or these are 2 different ones that we have?
No, we have an option. We are looking, we currently have the T2 Luke pay stations, but the Cosmos are an option. We do not have any Cosmos.
Yeah, the Cosmos don't have solar, right? According to that?
They do,
Oh, they do. It doesn't say it on there.
they
So
do.
where's the loop now?
So we have a Luke over in the Hardin lot in 5 Points. We have a Luke in the Washington parking facility. There are 2 Lukes in the 1129 Washington lot behind 1401. We have 3 Lukes out at Bull Street, and we have 2 Lukes at PJ Cannon
In current use.
in current use.
I would
So,
think,
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, just one quick question. So the no use of the smart cards, that's where the loops are. You wouldn't be able to with those, but for example, if you're doing holiday gifts and stocking stuffers this holiday season, you still are able to use smart cards across the city
Yes, ma'am.
right now.
And you would, for example, if you're over in 5 Points and you mentioned recently parking on Saluda, you could put this in a meter and park on Saluda, but you could not utilize the smart card in the Hardin lot, though it steps away around the corner.
Good example.
You could not utilize the smart card, but you can in the on-street parking meters. Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, I'm concerned about not taking cash at all. Some folks function kind of like me. I've used the one at
That's a
Washington.
small majority.
I'm convinced there are more people like me than, well, yeah, so especially like folks who in places where they may be paying bills or something, like the type of, I don't wanna say that. If you're coming in to pay your bill, a lot of times it's related to a cash transaction, can I say it that way? But anyway, I would just be leery of getting rid of all of the ones that take cash, because there are a lot of people who are still transitioning. And then there are a lot of people who still just don't trust cards. Old school, I call them, some old school folks.
Yes, ma'am.
That's probably my only concern.
So we have the estimated cost for both, and thank you for the feedback and the interest in the Cosmos. I think on behalf of staff, it certainly would improve efficiency because we are not responsible and accounting for the cash and coin. So if you're only reconciling credit cards is much more efficient for staff than what we currently do with cash and coin. Just a perk for staff there.
Okay, so I guess,
sorry.
well, quick question, can y'all tell me how much cash you're using? Because I think, like, if you say no one is using cash, then that, to me, is obvious that we don't need it. So based on past usage?
So we can split, for instance, passport parking and coins. Passport parking now is about 62% of our on-street revenue. So Passport has grown just in my few years with the city by leaps and bounds. I think in working with conjunction with USC and getting the word out to all of the students in the community in general, and now that we have text to pay, we've seen an uptick in Passport. But we do have the ability to tell you the coinage.
Well, that's what I was about to say. So what is the other 38%?
Coins.
Just for the record, if I was parking today, I would use a coin. If I was parking tomorrow and it was $4, I would use a credit card.
But
Yeah,
I would tell you that
that's-
you
Right, we have $4
can't
cash.
really look at the cash versus card because not all the meters take cards and not all of them are, you can't.
I guess what I'm saying is if I was
So-
parking today, I would use a coin. But if it was more expensive in a certain area, I would end up using a credit card. I'm not gonna use a credit card for 25 cents.
Well, if you can park somewhere in Columbia for 25
I
cents.
can,
wanna know where
I still
to go.
can right now. Yeah, 20
None of our
minutes.
on-street meters accept credit cards. So these credit cards that are at these pay stations, they're in surface lots or parking facilities. So of the 3,000 plus meters we have, which we could conveniently update those to accept credit cards, but none of them. So we can tell you what coin, when people are dropping coins in versus Passport, but none of that is
Look
credit
at that
card.
picture right there. That picture ought to tell you what our blocks would look like instead of 100, 200 meters going down.
Everybody's pro Cosmo. Can I ask a question? Can I also assume that this would greatly reduce the number of daily appeals? Because you got a record of what's really going on versus I took a picture of a broken meter?
No, because it took me a long time to figure out using it. I still don't know if I can.
So if we
do
go, a good point, sir, if we go to some of the pros and cons that we've already talked about, the real-time reporting with Iris, that's an internal platform that we have to monitor parking behaviors, which I think is important going forward for Columbia. There is a Parker convenience. It's easy to use. Again, the current 9 stations we have are very popular in the city. We do have the ability to offer coupons and validations with T2. It does have the Passport mobile integration. You can read down all of the advantages, and again, the smart cards do not integrate, and nor do the tokens. Are the only two cons that, opportunities we see with the loops.
I feel like we're bringing parking into the 21st century, so I'm not that concerned about the tokens and the.
Still got a couple.
And so that's what we already have now.
Turn them into like.
We have, yes, ma'am, 9 of them in a facility or in a surface lot, but we don't have them along on-street parking. And we're going to start with Main Street.
I think that becomes the discussion,
Okay,
to
yeah.
your point of how widespread we go everywhere.
I hope eventually you have everywhere. I mean, just think about what just the aesthetics, what it changes in the way the city looks. I mean, stand on Gervais Street and look down. It's awful.
All the meters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, and just so I'm clear, if you're talking about on-street parking, that means if I parked on this end of the block, but the machine,
It's in the middle.
this is my example, and the machine is over here, don't I have to walk there to do my whatever and then go to wherever I'm going?
Yes, but you would not return to your vehicle to put a slip of paper in your vehicle,
Okay, what? But, okay.
but you would walk to the pay
Think about
station.
that aspect too.
Walkability and exercise.
Walking
But
is
again,
not
you
a
can use
crime.
your app.
Yes,
You just kind of ding, ding, ding. All right, I'm gonna go shopping.
and you'll get a reminder with the Passport app. You're right.
You don't know that.
Well, because you got 3 phones, you don't know which one to use.
Yeah, I know how to operate all of my stuff. I mean, I'm trying to.
We're going to flip over now to Calvin, and Calvin's going to talk a little bit about our facilities and CIP improvements.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, Madam City Manager. First, I want to say thank you for taking the time today to let us present on behalf of parking facilities. I also want to recognize Mr. Chris Iser. He's here today with Kenley Horn. They've been very instrumental in the help that they have provided us with investigating our facilities. We work very closely with them over the last several years to put together a 5-year capital improvement plan, and excited to share that with y'all here today. But first I want to start out by what we're doing right now in parking facilities. We have several projects underway, about $1.2 million worth of work, looking at elevator replacements at Lady and Sumter Street. Those are, equipment is scheduled to arrive right after the first of the year, and installation will begin as soon as that equipment arrives. We also have 2 water sealant projects at PJ Cannon and Lincoln Street. Those are being bid out now, and we'll hopefully have those in front of y'all here before long to approve as well.
Are you sealing the deck?
Yeah, we're sealing the deck to keep that water infiltration from moving through the parking facility. Yes, sir. There are also 2 exterior cleaning and painting projects. Those are at Lady Street and Taylor Street parking decks. The Lady Street project has been completed, and the contractor is now currently working on the Taylor Street deck.
Very happy about the Taylor Street deck. That
it is coming.
needs a little love and attention, so that's great.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. General Services has also completed stairwell repairs at Lady Street deck. There are more to do. Support Services is working on those on a regular basis. Then we have General Services also working on improvements to just in and around Taylor Street deck as well. Let's see here. And that leads me to, let's see, wrong way here. There we go. That leads me into the capital improvements and maintenance needs for our facilities. I want to ask a question and then kind of answer it. What is our most pressing needs in parking facilities? And that is by far funding. In my opinion, and just looking around, we've had deferred maintenance at our parking facilities for an extended period of time, and we have CIP projects that we need to get done in our facilities. Our oldest facility is Taylor Street Deck. It was built in 1965. And it's hard for me to believe, but our newest facility outside the 2 new facilities over at Bull Street is our PJ Cannon parking deck, which was built in 2011. That's just hard for me to believe. Time flies by so quick here.
Can you remind us where PJ Cannon is?
Yeah, it's on the corner of Lincoln and Sumter Street. Sumter and Taylor, I'm sorry.
Taylor, I was gonna say, it ain't.
Oh, the
Right
art,
direction.
where the art's across from.
Okay,
the
Yes.
hospital.
A lot of people think
Oh,
that's
that
the
one,
Taylor
yeah,
Street,
yeah.
but it's not. Yeah, okay.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay. General Service has worked with our consultants, like I mentioned with Kimberly Horn, to identify capital and maintenance needs at our 8 oldest facilities. And that's what you're looking at here. We've worked with parking operations and to determine that we need about $2.5 million in our year one for renovations at Sumter, Lady, Washington, and Taylor. Focusing on our most critical and pressing needs, while also being cognizant of available funding for those
So
facilities.
with the increase that we did, how does that balance out onto the maintenance?
We haven't had an increase recently, so we'll talk about that as well.
I thought we increased parking this summer.
Talked about it.
I thought we approved it.
And then the other question is are you putting in the infrastructure and taking advantage of the grants for the electric charging stations? Because obviously the stations we have are outdated.
Certainly, Mayor. Yeah, we are putting in for any grants that are available for electrical charging stations. A lot of that covers just the charging stations themselves, and we need to look at improving the power at the
You
facility.
need to look at the Inflation Reduction Act. I believe that we can get connectivity, the cost of the connectivity point included in that. That's a direct pay, it's not a grant. That gets us 30 or 40% of that cost back in a cash.
Definitely look into that as well.
You gonna go to a level 3 charger?
Yeah, so we would not be going to a level 3 in the parking
Electric,
facilities.
Howard?
I was gonna say, okay, Howard.
That was
Yeah,
pretty good,
that's-
Howard. I was even impressed by that.
I'm in charge of the EV, the heritage.
You got a PowerPoint you want to send us?
I do. I have taken it to the board several times.
Did you get it passed?
No, shot down with that $75,000 price tag. 130? Oh my God.
That's better you
Yeah.
driving your EV to your, to what?
Pickleball.
Your pickleball. You don't- You
We
don't
need to
play.
put them out in the pickleball court so they can.
He's getting a new bumper sticker, I break for pickleball court.
So infrastructure has to be looked at being upgraded for electrical vehicle charging stations at our parking
Can
facilities. So
we look at that too in conjunction with, I think we're meeting, with Mr. Shealy about the overall solar and how we can use some of that on the canopies on the roof as we look for our, new RFI out. We just got a lot of advantages to take, a lot of ability to take advantage of a lot of money coming out of the feds, but it really needs to be started in 2024 for us to take advantage of it. So we need to be thinking strategically.
certainly, and we can definitely look into those things. I do want to point out that the needs at these facilities currently are structural, waterproofing, operations, systems, and aesthetics. They're not those.
Aesthetics, for sure.
Yeah, correct. They're not those technology items, electrical EV charging stations. We need to look at grants and other ways to fund those items. Okay?
The money's there.
Right, yeah, it'll be interesting to see the breakdown in surface lots and garage and revenue and really where it is, because I have a feeling we're gonna find there's a big gap there.
Can we look into doing like public art or something on these? Because they are facing kind of,
One of
that's
the
the
things-
first thing you see when you come in that way.
One of the
And
things Clint's exploring is there's some new solar technology that actually is a skin that goes on the outside, so kind of like what Starbucks puts on the other, but you can get it in different colors. And so you can wrap a parking garage like that, so it makes it look like it's new and modern, but at the same time, you're getting the solar off of it.
yeah, I mean,
So we're
anything
trying
like
to
that.
see if
I just think
makes sense or not.
the older cement, I don't know what the material is, just looks a little bit dated. Especially
You don't think
with,
the rock bottom there from 1965 is?
It just needs to be power wise.
So we do have some public art at our facilities. Taylor Street is
Yeah,
an
I've seen
example of
that.
one, and then on PJ Cannon as well.
I just think it'll
So-
also get folks to park there with all the investment we're making with Finley Park, right? So encouraging people to build that kind of connection between Main Street and Finley. So just something to think about in terms of, leveraging some of our local artists or some of the technology that Clint's looking into.
Or a combination?
Or a combination, yeah.
Certainly.
We can mention the partnership we just did with the 1201 building. If anybody's been in the Lady Street internally, all of the 4 murals that are new to the Lady Street facility, it's when you pull up right as you're entering the doors. Again, you're inside. That's pretty phenomenal, local artists. And
Did
we
you
did
fix
that.
the gates there?
Pardon me?
The gates at Lady Street?
The gates?
Yeah.
The murals.
That's the number one complaint I
The
get. It's
gates?
not the murals.
Going out onto
Getting out.
Lady.
We've had some credit card issues.
Finicky, a little finicky at times.
Okay,
Scary at times.
noted. But those murals are wonderful. Just wanted to make sure we included those.
And the painting and the washing, all that makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Big difference.
Absolutely.
And then in the capital improvement, are there any plans to open up the restrooms?
So there's none in the capital improvement projects that we have planned right now,
Okay,
Councilwoman. That's something we could definitely look at.
The Taylor Street garage, we actually looked at opening that up and allowing that to become an artist space, so there's activity there. It's just, we looked at the bathrooms there, it costs us pretty,
it's a hefty, yeah.
it's hefty, and it's right across the street from Oliver Gospel, and the majority of women and families would not feel comfortable going there. So
But we do want to make use of the funding, Dr. Bustles, because we don't want that to,
disappear.
yeah.
And we do have the restrooms open at Washington Square as well. They're open during the week and then also on Saturdays as well.
And we're letting people know, because I had to explain that to somebody and they didn't realize that. It might be worth another blast to let people know.
Yeah. But I think it's balancing
Yeah.
people that need to use it because they're on
Yes.
on Main Street for Soda
Well,
City.
and I think that's a good thing
versus
for Soda
being-
City to have at their information booth. Hey, by the way, there
Yeah,
are other
even if it's
places
like a
to
little
mask.
thing that, yeah, a little.
I think there was definitely more of the effort to put that out there for Soda City. I think we've softly probably shared it for the weekday use, but it is available.
And there is signage outside on Main Street. We had the security guards put signage out on Main Street on the weekends. So that it's open. Okay. Thank y'all again very much.
Thank you, Kelvin.
Are we ready for Howard to do his sign?
Come on, Howard.
This is your last one. Come on down.
Let's do it.
Who can read?
I don't know.
I
We're
can't,
gonna have to
so-
draw straws on who takes over.
I got the prayer, so. I'm drawing the line. I'm drawing the
Might be
line.
Will.
That's all I
Tina.
got.
I may have to start reading.
Yeah.
I mean, listen very closely, Howard.
Very closely.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we go into executive session for receipt of legal advice related to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to SC Code 30-4-78-2, Convention Center, discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual arrangements pursuant to SC Code 30-4-78-2, WGI Engineering Firm, Emergency Services Consulting International.
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Brown,
Here.
Ms. Herbert,
Yes.
Dr. Bustles.
Yes.
Mr. Duval.
Aye.
And Mayor Rickaby.
Aye.
Thank you.
I just want y'all to know, I don't read that fast.
You don't have to. You're not like, it's not a commercial.
Yes, I just.
You can just take your time.
Take your time.
Deep breaths.
You can even stop in the middle.
Or y'all could just stop me and say.
We can set up some practice sessions.
Yeah, it's true.
Howard will come in and tutor you.